One of the most significant financiers in American history, J.P. Morgan, was instrumental in forming the country's current financial environment. Born John Pierpont Morgan in 1837, he rose to prominence during the Gilded Age, a time of tremendous industrialization, economic growth, and the development of the American financial system, and became a byword for riches, power, and influence. Because he supported railroads, assisted in industry consolidation, and even served as a de facto central bank during financial crises, Morgan had a significant impact on America. In addition to solidifying his reputation as a financial titan, his deeds had a profound impact on the country's financial institutions, corporate culture, and economy. Morgan's narrative reveals a great deal of ambition, strategic foresight, and in-depth financial knowledge. He was a financial architect who trusted in the strength of efficiency and consolidation, not merely a banker. Morgan not only accumulated enormous personal wealth, but also contributed to the formation of some of the most influential corporations in American history by masterminding some of the biggest mergers and acquisitions of his day. His authority in the political and economic arenas allowed him to shape practices and regulations that would characterize the American financial system for many years, so his influence went well beyond the boardroom. Early life and career. In Hartford, Connecticut in 1837, J.P. Morgan was born into a prosperous family. J.P. Morgan was raised to emulate his wealthy banker father, Junius Spencer Morgan, since he was a small child. Morgan started his banking career at his father's company, Peabody, Morgan & Co. in London after attending schools in both the U.S. and Europe. He refined his financial acumen here, picking up on the nuances of global banking and gaining a sharp grasp of how capital could be used to create empires. After returning to the U.S. in 1861, Morgan made a name for himself in the banking industry by rising to prominence fast. After joining Duncan, Sherman Company, a New York banking firm, he went on to establish Dabney, Morgan & Company, his own partnership. But what really set him up for success was his collaboration with Anthony Drexel at Drexel, Morgan & Co., which subsequently became J.P. Morgan & Co. Through this alliance, Morgan was able to interact with some of the most influential people in American business and obtain access to enormous sums of finance. The Railroad Empire. Morgan's engagement in the railroad industry was one of his most important contributions to American industry. Railroads, which made it easier for people and goods to travel across the nation, were the backbone of the American economy in the late 19th century. But the railroad business was beset by inefficiencies, overstretching, and intense rivalry, all of which frequently resulted in financial instability and bankruptcy for numerous railroad enterprises. Morgan saw a chance to combine smaller, faltering railroads into larger, more efficient enterprises in order to bring order to the otherwise chaotic railroad sector. He coordinated a number of mergers and acquisitions that contributed to the industry's stabilization and the development of some of the biggest railroad networks in the nation by using his financial clout and political clout. Notably, Morgan was instrumental in the formation of the Northern Securities firm, a holding firm that oversaw the Northern Pacific and Great Northern Railroads among other significant railroads. The nation's transportation system was significantly impacted by Morgan's attempts to integrate the railroad sector, even though the business was eventually dissolved by the U.S. Supreme Court for breaking antitrust laws. Morgan's engagement with the railroad sector went beyond simple business dealings. He frequently participated actively in the administration of the railroads he funded, used his clout to enact changes and boost productivity. He focused more on long-term stability and profitability and on short-term benefits when it came to railroad management. This way of thinking benefited the railroads as well as the expansion and advancement of the American economy as a whole. Finance of American industry. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, J.P. Morgan was instrumental in funding and combining American industry, even outside the railroad sector. He had a key role in the establishment of some of the biggest and most influential companies in American history, such as General Electric and U.S. Steel. Morgan was the driving force behind the 1901 merger of multiple steel businesses to create the first billion-dollar corporation in history, U.S. Steel. Albert A. Gary's Federal Steel Company, Andrew Carnegie's Carnegie Steel Company, and a number of other smaller steel manufacturers were combined in the merger. In addition to enhancing Morgan's standing as a financial wizard, the founding of U.S. Steel signaled a sea change in the annals of American business. Due to its success, U.S. Steel came to represent the strength and clout of big business, as well as the potential advantages of economies of scale and consolidation. Morgan also had an impact on other sectors of the economy. He was instrumental in the establishment of General Electric in 1892, which went on to become one of the most prosperous and inventive companies in the world. Morgan contributed to the development of a powerhouse in the electrical industry by uniting the Edison General Electric Company and the Thomson-Houston Electric Company. This helped pave the way for developments in infrastructure and technology that would influence the future of the United States. JP Morgan's response to the panic of 1907, a financial catastrophe that threatened to bring the American economy to its knees, was one of the most important events in his career. A number of things led to the panic, one of which being the failure of the Knickerbocker Trust Company, which resulted in a general lack of trust in the banking industry. The stock market crashed, corporations went bankrupt, and the economy teetered on the verge of disaster. Without a central bank, JP Morgan intervened to keep the financial system stable. The leading bankers in the country were gathered by him, and he successfully convinced them to combine their efforts in order to replenish the banking system's liquidity and boost market confidence. Morgan personally coordinated the rescue of the Trust Company of America, one of the biggest trust corporations in New York, and set up loans for a number of financially troubled companies. Morgan's role as the savior of the American financial system was cemented by his actions during the Panic of 1907, which brought him enormous praise. His strength and influence were evident in his ability to unite the financial community and avert a total economic disaster. But the panic also made clear the necessity of a more organized and centralized method in overseeing the country's financial system, which finally resulted in the Federal Reserve's establishment in 1913. Morgan's legacy. It is impossible to overestimate JP Morgan's influence on American business and finance. He played a major role in the formation of some of the world's largest firms, the consolidation of important industries, and the crisis resilience of the American financial system. He left behind a tremendous amount of power and influence because of the ways he influenced the contemporary American economy, which are still felt today. Morgan's legacy isn't without debate, though. His enormous wealth and influence raised concerns about a small number of people and businesses holding all the power. Morgan's detractors said that his activities, especially his attempts to combine industries, hurt consumers and smaller companies by reducing competition and establishing monopolies. Antitrust laws intended to reduce the dominance of monopolies and foster competition were finally passed as a result of the pushback against the power of trusts and big businesses. J. Morgan made indisputable contributions to American industry and finance, notwithstanding these critiques. He stands out as one of the most significant individuals in American history due to his aptitude for navigating challenging financial environments, his strategic vision, and his readiness to act audaciously when things get tight. The three guiding ideas of Morgan's legacy, innovation, consolidation, and efficiency remain relevant in today's business environment. The development of financial customs. Beyond his direct contributions to the American economy and financial system, JP Morgan had a significant impact. His method of approaching business and finance established new benchmarks for financial management and corporate governance that have persisted far into the contemporary period. Morgan's strategy of using his financial power and personal reputation to seal and maintain deals was a perfect example of how crucial dependability and trust are to commercial dealings. He was a trailblazer in the institutionalization of financial procedures that would serve as the norm for upcoming cohorts. Morgan's involvement in industry consolidation, for example, brought to light the advantages of economies of scale and strategic mergers, both of which are still important tactics for businesses looking to improve their operational efficiency and competitiveness. Corporate executives and financial managers' expectations were altered by his emphasis on stability and long-term planning over short-term rewards, and he established a standard for how business should be done in a fast-changing economic environment. That concludes our journey through the remarkable story of JP Morgan and his impact on financing America. If you found this exploration into one of history's most influential financiers captivating, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the figures and events that shaped our world. Have any thoughts or questions about JP Morgan's legacy? Share them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. Until next time, keep exploring the stories behind the icons who shaped history.